Imagine waking up every morning to a world that feels like it's moving faster than you can keep up with. Emails pile up, deadlines loom, and the noise of social media never seems to stop. You're constantly juggling responsibilities, yet somehow it feels like you're falling behind. Sound familiar? This is the reality for so many of us in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world. But what if I told you there's a way to not just survive but thrive in the chaos? What if the key to finding peace, purpose, and fulfillment has been around for over 2,000 years? That key is Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us how to navigate life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and inner strength. In this video, we're diving into 30 timeless Stoic lessons that have the power to transform how you see the world and how you live your life. These lessons aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical tools you can use every single day to build a life of meaning and contentment. Whether you're struggling with stress, feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty, or simply searching for a deeper sense of purpose, Stoicism offers a roadmap. From learning how to focus on what you can control to embracing obstacles as opportunities for growth, these lessons will help you cultivate a mindset that's unshakable, no matter what life throws your way. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with actionable insights that can reshape your habits, your perspective, and ultimately, your life. So, if you're ready to discover how ancient wisdom can solve modern problems, let's dive into the first lesson. Now, let's explore the first Stoic lesson, one that serves as the foundation for everything that follows. Focus on what you can control. This principle is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's a game changer for how we approach life's challenges. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from trying to control things that are simply beyond our power. Think about it. How often do we waste energy worrying about the weather, other people's opinions, or even the past? These are things we can't change, no matter how much we might want to. So, what can we control? Our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. These are the areas where we have real power. For example, you can't control whether it rains on the day of your outdoor event, but you can control how you prepare for it, bringing an umbrella, having a backup plan, or even choosing to embrace the rain with a sense of humor. By shifting your focus to what's within your control, you reduce stress and reclaim a sense of agency over your life. Let's take another example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't control the cars around you or the timing of the lights, but you can control how you react. Instead of letting frustration take over, you could use that time to listen to an audiobook, reflect on your day, or simply practice mindfulness. This small shift in perspective can turn a stressful situation into an opportunity for growth or even relaxation. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control, and it's a tool that helps us navigate life with greater clarity and calm. By focusing on what we can influence, we stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable and start building a life rooted in purpose and resilience. This lesson isn't just about avoiding stress, it's about empowering yourself to take meaningful action, no matter what's happening around you. As we move forward, keep this principle in mind. It's the first step toward cultivating a mindset that's unshakable, even in the face of life's uncertainties. And with that foundation, we're ready to dive into the next lesson, accepting what we cannot change. Now, let's turn our attention to the second Stoic lesson, accepting what you cannot change. This principle is deeply tied to the first lesson of focusing on what you can control, but it takes the idea a step further. While the first lesson empowers us to act where we have influence, this one teaches us how to find peace with the things we cannot alter. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who lived nearly 2,000 years ago, was a strong advocate for this mindset. Born into slavery, Epictetus faced circumstances that were entirely out of his control. Yet he didn't let his external conditions define his inner life. Instead, he taught that true freedom comes from accepting what we cannot change and focusing on how we respond to it. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea of acceptance isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about recognizing the limits of our power and choosing to respond with grace and resilience. For example, imagine you've worked hard on a project, but it doesn't get the recognition you hoped for. You can't control how others perceive your work, but you can control how you process the outcome. Instead of dwelling on disappointment, you might choose to reflect on what you learned from the experience or use it as motivation to improve. The Stoics called this mindset amor fati, which means love of fate. It's about embracing everything that happens, good or bad, as an essential part of your journey. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic thinker, often reminded himself to accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny. This perspective helps us see challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. Think about how this applies to everyday life. Maybe you're dealing with a health issue, a job loss, or a relationship that didn't work out. These are painful experiences, but they're also moments where acceptance can transform your outlook. By letting go of resistance and embracing reality as it is, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering and open the door to resilience. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what's happening. It simply means you stop fighting against it. This shift in mindset allows you to conserve your energy for the things you can influence, like your attitude, your efforts, and your next steps. It's a powerful way to build emotional strength and navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease. As we move forward, remember that acceptance is a skill, not a one-time decision. It takes practice, especially when life throws us curveballs. But with time, this Stoic lesson can become a source of profound inner peace and resilience. And with that foundation, we're ready to explore the next lesson, practicing gratitude daily. Now, let's shift our focus to the third Stoic lesson, practicing gratitude daily. This principle is all about shifting our attention from what we lack to what we already have. It's a simple yet transformative practice that can profoundly change how we experience life. The Stoics believed that gratitude is a powerful tool for cultivating contentment and inner peace. By regularly reflecting on the good in our lives, we train our minds to appreciate the present moment rather than constantly chasing after more. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, often began his day by listing the things he was grateful for, no matter how small. This practice helped him stay grounded and focused on what truly mattered. So, how can you incorporate gratitude into your daily routine? One effective method is to keep a gratitude journal. Each morning or evening, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be something as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or even the beauty of a sunset. The key is to make this a consistent habit, as repetition helps rewire your brain to notice and appreciate the positives in your life. Another way to practice gratitude is through mindful reflection. Throughout the day, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's one thing I'm grateful for right now? This could be during a meal, while commuting, or even in the middle of a challenging task. By doing this, you create small moments of appreciation that can shift your perspective and lift your mood. Gratitude also has a ripple effect. When you express appreciation to others, it not only strengthens your relationships but also encourages a culture of kindness and positivity. Take a moment to thank someone who has made a difference in your life, whether it's a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger. A simple thank you can go a long way in fostering connection and goodwill. It's important to remember that practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring life's difficulties. The Stoics weren't suggesting we pretend everything is perfect. Instead, they encouraged us to find value and meaning even in the midst of challenges. By focusing on what we have, we build resilience and a deeper sense of fulfillment. As you begin to integrate gratitude into your daily life, you'll likely notice a shift in your mindset. Over time, this practice can help you feel more grounded, content, and connected to the world around you. And with this foundation of gratitude, we're ready to explore the next lesson, embracing obstacles as opportunities. Now, let's turn our attention to the fourth Stoic lesson, embracing obstacles as opportunities. This lesson centers around the Stoic concept of amor fati, which translates to love of fate. At its core, amor fati is about accepting and even embracing everything that happens to us, whether good or bad, as an essential part of our journey. Instead of resisting challenges, the Stoics teach us to see them as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, exemplified this principle throughout his life. As a Roman emperor, he faced countless difficulties, from political turmoil to personal loss. Yet, he consistently viewed these obstacles as chances to practice virtue and strengthen his character. In his writings, he often reminded himself that every challenge was an opportunity to exercise patience, courage, and wisdom. For instance, when dealing with difficult people, he saw it as a chance to practice understanding and compassion rather than frustration or anger. So, how can we apply amor fati in our own lives? Start by reframing how you perceive setbacks. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can this make me stronger?" This shift in perspective allows you to approach challenges with curiosity and resilience rather than fear or resentment. Consider a common obstacle many of us face: failure. Whether it's a missed promotion, a failed project, or a personal mistake, failure often feels like a dead end. But through the lens of amor fati, failure becomes a teacher. It shows us where we need to improve, what we truly value, and how we can grow. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacle is the path forward. Another way to embrace obstacles is to focus on what you can control. While you can't always change the situation, you can control your response to it. This is where Stoic practices like mindfulness and self-discipline come into play. By staying present and intentional, you can navigate challenges with clarity and purpose, turning them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. It's also helpful to remind yourself that obstacles are a natural part of life. No one is immune to difficulties, but how we handle them defines our character. The Stoics believed that adversity reveals our true selves and gives us the chance to rise above our circumstances. By embracing challenges, we not only build resilience but also cultivate a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. As you begin to see obstacles as opportunities, you'll notice a profound shift in your mindset. Challenges will no longer feel like burdens, but rather as invitations to grow and evolve. And with this perspective, we're ready to explore the next lesson, living in the present moment. Now, let's shift our focus to the fifth Stoic lesson, living in the present moment. The Stoics placed immense value on mindfulness, urging us to fully engage with the here and now rather than getting lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. This principle is rooted in the understanding that the present moment is the only time we truly have control over. The past is gone and the future is uncertain, but the present is where we can act, think, and live with intention. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this idea in his meditations, reminding himself to focus on the task at hand. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," emphasizing that our power lies in what we do right now. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we can avoid the mental clutter of dwelling on what's already happened or worrying about what might come next. This doesn't mean ignoring the past or future entirely. It simply means not letting them dominate our thoughts and actions. So, how can we practice living in the present moment? One effective method is to start your day with a moment of mindfulness. Take a few minutes to sit quietly, focus on your breathing, and ground yourself in the present. This simple practice can help you approach the day with clarity and calmness, setting the tone for mindful living. Another strategy is to engage fully in whatever you're doing, whether it's a work task, a conversation, or even a mundane chore. When you give your full attention to the present activity, you'll find that it becomes more meaningful and enjoyable. It's also helpful to catch yourself when your mind starts to wander into the past or future. When you notice yourself replaying old mistakes or imagining worst-case scenarios, gently bring your focus back to the present. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to make the most of this moment? This shift in focus can help you break free from unproductive thought patterns and reclaim your mental energy. Another Stoic technique for staying present is to practice gratitude for the here and now. Take a moment each day to reflect on what's going well in your life, no matter how small. This practice not only keeps you grounded in the present, but also cultivates a sense of contentment and appreciation for what you have. As Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Living in the present moment also means accepting that life is unpredictable. The Stoics understood that we can't control everything that happens, but we can control how we respond to it. By staying present, we're better equipped to handle challenges as they arise, rather than being overwhelmed by hypothetical worries or past regrets. This mindset allows us to approach life with a sense of calm and resilience, knowing that we're fully capable of dealing with whatever the present moment brings. As you begin to embrace this Stoic lesson, you'll likely notice a greater sense of peace and focus in your daily life. The present moment becomes a space of opportunity where you can act with purpose and clarity. And with this foundation, we're ready to explore the next lesson, cultivating inner virtue. Now, let's turn our attention to the sixth Stoic lesson, cultivating inner virtue. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the belief that true fulfillment comes from developing and embodying four core virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues serve as a compass, guiding us toward a life of purpose, integrity, and inner peace. By striving to live in alignment with these principles, we not only improve ourselves but also contribute positively to the world around us. Wisdom, the first of these virtues, is about seeking knowledge and understanding. It's the ability to see things clearly, make sound judgments, and act with discernment. The Stoics believed that wisdom helps us navigate life's complexities, enabling us to distinguish between what truly matters and what doesn't. It's not just about accumulating facts, but about applying that knowledge in ways that align with our values and benefit others. When we cultivate wisdom, we become better equipped to handle challenges and make decisions that reflect our highest ideals. Courage, the second virtue, is about facing difficulties with strength and resilience. It's not just physical bravery, but also the moral courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. The Stoics taught that courage allows us to confront our fears, endure hardships, and take action in the face of adversity. By embracing courage, we build the confidence to pursue our goals and uphold our principles, no matter the obstacles we encounter. Justice, the third virtue, is about fairness and treating others with respect and kindness. It's the commitment to doing what's right, not just for ourselves but for the greater good. The Stoics emphasized that justice is essential for creating harmony in our relationships and communities. When we act justly, we contribute to a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. This virtue reminds us that our actions have consequences and that we have a responsibility to act with integrity and compassion. Temperance, the fourth virtue, is about self-control and moderation. It's the ability to resist excess and live in balance, avoiding the pitfalls of overindulgence or impulsiveness. The Stoics believed that temperance helps us maintain clarity and focus, allowing us to make thoughtful choices rather than being driven by fleeting desires. By practicing temperance, we cultivate a sense of inner stability and avoid the chaos that comes from living without restraint. Together, these four virtues form the foundation of a fulfilling life. They guide us in our thoughts, actions, and interactions, helping us become the best versions of ourselves. The Stoics taught that by striving to embody these virtues, we not only achieve personal growth but also create a positive impact on those around us. It's not about perfection but about continuous effort and improvement. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be." Be one to cultivate these virtues in your own life. Start by reflecting on how they show up in your daily actions. Ask yourself, am I acting with wisdom in this situation? Am I demonstrating courage, justice, and temperance? Small, consistent efforts to align with these principles can lead to profound changes over time. Remember, the journey toward virtue is a lifelong practice, but each step brings you closer to a life of meaning and fulfillment. With this understanding of inner virtue, we're ready to explore the next lesson, detaching from external outcomes. This principle teaches us how to focus on what we can control, our efforts and intentions, rather than being consumed by the results we can't always predict. Now, let's shift our focus to the seventh Stoic lesson, detaching from external outcomes. This principle is one of the most liberating ideas in Stoic philosophy, teaching us to concentrate on what we can control, our efforts and intentions, rather than being consumed by the results we can't always predict. The Stoics believed that attaching too much importance to outcomes outside our control is a recipe for anxiety and disappointment. Instead, they encouraged us to focus on the process, the actions we take, and the values we uphold regardless of the results. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often wrote about the importance of this mindset. In one of his letters, he reminds us that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. What he meant is that our fear of failure or our obsession with achieving a specific outcome often causes more distress than the actual event itself. By detaching from external results, we free ourselves from unnecessary worry and open the door to greater peace of mind. To illustrate this, let's consider a simple example. Imagine you're preparing for a job interview. You've done everything within your power to prepare. You've researched the company, practiced your answers, and dressed professionally. But the outcome, whether you get the job or not, is ultimately out of your hands. If you focus solely on the result, you might feel anxious and stressed. But if you shift your attention to the effort you've put in, you can take pride in your preparation and approach the situation with confidence regardless of the outcome. This is the essence of Stoic detachment. Seneca also emphasized that external outcomes are often influenced by factors beyond our control: luck, timing, or the decisions of others. He advised that we should treat these outcomes with indifference, not because they don't matter, but because they don't define us. What truly matters is how we conduct ourselves, the integrity of our actions, and the effort we put forth. When we internalize this mindset, we reduce the power that external events have over our emotions and well-being. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean we stop caring about success or stop striving for our goals. It simply means we recognize that our worth isn't tied to the results we achieve. Instead, it's rooted in the effort we make and the values we live by. This shift in perspective can be incredibly freeing. It allows us to approach challenges with a sense of calm and resilience, knowing that we've done our best regardless of how things turn out. To practice this lesson in your own life, start by identifying areas where you feel overly attached to specific outcomes. It could be in your career, relationships, or personal goals. Ask yourself, am I focusing too much on the result rather than the effort I'm putting in? Then, consciously redirect your attention to what you can control: your preparation, your attitude, and your actions. Over time, this practice can help you build a stronger sense of inner peace and reduce the anxiety that comes from worrying about things outside your control. As we move forward, this lesson sets the stage for the next Stoic practice, negative visualization. This technique, which we'll explore in detail, builds on the idea of detachment by helping us prepare for life's uncertainties and appreciate what we already have. By combining these principles, we can cultivate a mindset that's both resilient and deeply fulfilling. Now, let's turn our attention to the 8th Stoic lesson, practicing negative visualization. This powerful exercise, often referred to as premeditatio malorum by the Stoics, involves imagining worst-case scenarios to prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally for life's uncertainties. At first glance, this might sound counterintuitive. Why would anyone want to dwell on negative outcomes? But the Stoics believed that by confronting our fears and visualizing potential challenges, we can build resilience, reduce anxiety, and cultivate a deeper appreciation for what we already have. The idea behind negative visualization is simple yet profound. By imagining the loss of something we value, whether it's a job, a relationship, or even our health, we remind ourselves of its true worth. This practice helps us avoid taking things for granted and fosters a sense of gratitude for the present moment. It also prepares us to face adversity with greater calm and clarity, knowing that we've already considered how to respond if things don't go as planned. To practice negative visualization, start by choosing an area of your life that you value deeply. It could be your career, your family, your health, or even your possessions. Take a moment to reflect on what life would be like without it. For example, if you're focusing on your job, imagine what it would feel like to lose it. How would you cope? What steps would you take to move forward? By walking through this mental exercise, you're not only preparing yourself for potential challenges, but also gaining a renewed appreciation for the stability and opportunities you currently have. Next, consider the emotions that arise during this exercise. Do you feel fear, sadness, or anxiety? Acknowledge these feelings without judgment. The goal isn't to dwell on negativity, but to confront it head-on and recognize that you have the strength to handle whatever comes your way. This process can be incredibly empowering, as it shifts your mindset from one of fear to one of preparedness and resilience. Another key aspect of negative visualization is its ability to help us detach from external outcomes. When we imagine worst-case scenarios, we're reminded that many things in life are beyond our control. This realization aligns closely with the Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. By practicing this exercise regularly, we train ourselves to approach life's uncertainties with a sense of calm and acceptance, rather than fear or resistance. To make negative visualization a consistent part of your routine, set aside a few minutes each day or week to reflect on potential challenges. You might choose to do this during your morning or evening journaling practice, or even during moments of quiet reflection. The key is to approach the exercise with intention and openness, allowing yourself to fully engage with the process without becoming overwhelmed by negative emotions. As we move forward, this lesson naturally leads us to the next Stoic practice, limiting our desires. By combining negative visualization with a focus on simplifying our wants, we can cultivate a mindset that's both resilient and deeply content. Together, these principles offer a powerful framework for navigating life's ups and downs with grace and wisdom. Now, let's shift our focus to the 9th Stoic lesson, limiting your desires. This principle is all about simplifying your wants and redirecting your attention to what truly matters in life. The Stoics believed that many of our struggles come from chasing after things we don't really need, whether it's material possessions, status, or external validation. By learning to limit our desires, we can free ourselves from the endless cycle of wanting more and instead find contentment in what we already have. At its core, this lesson is about recognizing the difference between needs and wants. Needs are the essentials: food, shelter, relationships, and purpose. Wants, on the other hand, are often driven by societal pressures, comparison, or the pursuit of fleeting pleasures. The Stoics argued that when we focus too much on our wants, we risk losing sight of what truly brings us fulfillment. Instead, they encouraged us to cultivate an attitude of sufficiency, where we feel satisfied with enough rather than constantly striving for more. One practical way to start limiting your desires is to take a step back and evaluate what you truly value. Ask yourself, what do I need to live a meaningful life? What brings me lasting joy and peace? Often, you'll find that the things you truly value, like love, health, and personal growth, aren't tied to material possessions or external achievements. This realization can help you let go of unnecessary wants and focus on what truly matters. Another effective strategy is to practice voluntary simplicity. This means intentionally choosing to live with less, not out of deprivation, but out of a desire to create more space for what's important. For example, you might declutter your home, reduce your spending on non-essentials, or simplify your daily routines. By doing so, you're not only reducing distractions but also creating more room for meaningful experiences and relationships. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of gratitude in limiting desires. When we regularly reflect on what we already have, we're less likely to feel the need for more. Try keeping a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. This simple practice can shift your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance, helping you feel more content with your current circumstances. It's also worth noting that limiting your desires doesn't mean giving up on goals or ambitions. Instead, it's about aligning your goals with your values and ensuring that your pursuits are rooted in purpose rather than external validation. For instance, instead of striving for a promotion solely for the sake of status, focus on how your work contributes to your growth or helps others. This shift in perspective can make your goals more fulfilling and less tied to fleeting desires. As we wrap up this lesson, remember that limiting your desires is a practice, not a one-time decision. It requires ongoing reflection and intentional choices, but over time, this approach can lead to a deeper sense of contentment and a life that feels rich in meaning, even without an abundance of material possessions. This lesson naturally leads us to the next Stoic practice, reflecting on mortality, or memento mori. By combining the simplicity of limited desires with the awareness of life's impermanence, we can cultivate a mindset that's both grounded and deeply appreciative of the present moment. Together, these principles offer a powerful path to living a fulfilling and intentional life. Now, let's turn our attention to the 10th Stoic lesson, reflecting on mortality, or memento mori. This ancient practice, which translates to "remember you must die," might sound somber at first, but its purpose is deeply empowering. The Stoics believed that by regularly contemplating the inevitability of death, we can gain clarity about what truly matters in life and live with greater intention and gratitude. At its heart, memento mori is a reminder of life's impermanence. It's not about dwelling on fear or sadness, but about using the awareness of our limited time to prioritize what's meaningful. Think about it. When we're reminded that our time is finite, we're less likely to waste it on trivial pursuits or get caught up in petty conflicts. Instead, we're inspired to focus on relationships, personal growth, and the things that bring us lasting fulfillment. Historically, this practice was a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reflected on mortality in his personal writings. He saw it as a way to stay grounded and avoid becoming consumed by power or ego. In one of his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This perspective helped him remain humble and focused on his duties even as the leader of an empire. Epictetus, another prominent Stoic, also emphasized the importance of this practice. He encouraged his students to live each day as if it could be their last, not out of fear, but as a way to cultivate urgency and purpose. By doing so, they could avoid procrastination and make the most of every moment. In modern times, the concept of memento mori remains just as relevant. Consider how many of us get caught up in the busyness of life, chasing deadlines, scrolling through social media, or worrying about things that, in the grand scheme, don't really matter. Reflecting on mortality can serve as a wake-up call, helping us realign our priorities and focus on what truly enriches our lives. One practical way to incorporate this practice into your daily routine is to set aside a few moments each day to reflect on your mortality. You might ask yourself questions like, if today were my last day, would I be proud of how I spent it? Or, what legacy do I want to leave behind? These reflections can help you identify what's truly important and guide your actions accordingly. Another approach is to use physical reminders of mortality, as the Stoics often did. For example, you might keep a small object like a skull figurine or a simple stone on your desk as a visual cue to stay present and intentional. Every time you see it, let it remind you to focus on what matters most. It's also worth noting that memento mori isn't about living in fear or avoiding joy. On the contrary, it's about embracing life fully, knowing that every moment is precious. When we're aware of our mortality, we're more likely to savor the small joys, a conversation with a loved one, a walk in nature, or even a quiet moment of reflection. This awareness can deepen our appreciation for life and help us live with greater purpose. As we move forward, remember that reflecting on mortality isn't meant to be a morbid exercise but a tool for living more intentionally. By combining this practice with the Stoic lesson of limiting desires, we can create a life that's not only simpler but also richer in meaning and connection. This brings us to the next Stoic lesson, avoiding complaining. By shifting our focus from what's lacking to what we can control, we can cultivate a mindset of resilience and gratitude, further enhancing our ability to live a fulfilling life. Together, these principles offer a powerful framework for navigating life's challenges with wisdom and grace. Now, let's explore the 11th Stoic lesson, avoiding complaining. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to take full responsibility for our circumstances rather than falling into the trap of blaming others or external factors. Complaining, while it might feel satisfying in the moment, often leaves us feeling powerless and stuck. The Stoics believed that by shifting our focus from what's outside our control to what we can influence, we reclaim our agency and open the door to meaningful change. Think about it. When we complain, we're essentially giving away our power. We're saying, "This situation is happening to me, and there's nothing I can do about it." But Stoicism challenges us to ask a different question. What can I do about this? This subtle shift in perspective transforms us from passive victims into active problem solvers. It's not about denying the difficulty of a situation, but about focusing on how we can respond to it with strength and clarity. One of the most powerful Stoic tools for avoiding complaining is the practice of reframing. Instead of seeing a challenge as an unfair burden, we can view it as an opportunity to practice virtues like patience, resilience, and creativity. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of complaining about the delay, you might use that time to listen to an inspiring podcast or reflect on your goals for the day. By reframing the situation, you turn what could have been a frustrating experience into a moment of growth or even enjoyment. Another key aspect of this lesson is recognizing the difference between venting and complaining. Venting can sometimes be helpful as a way to process emotions, but it becomes problematic when it turns into a habit of negativity. Complaining often reinforces a victim mindset where we see ourselves as powerless and the world as unfair. To break this cycle, the Stoics encourage us to focus on solutions rather than problems. Ask yourself, what's one small step I can take to improve this situation? Even if the step is tiny, taking action helps us feel more in control and less inclined to complain. A practical way to cultivate this mindset is to practice gratitude alongside responsibility. When we focus on what we're grateful for, it becomes harder to dwell on what's going wrong. For instance, if you're frustrated with a difficult coworker, try shifting your attention to the aspects of your job that you enjoy or the skills you're developing through the challenge. Gratitude doesn't erase the difficulty, but it helps us see the bigger picture and maintain a balanced perspective. It's also worth noting that avoiding complaining doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about channeling them constructively. If something is genuinely troubling you, address it directly and take steps to resolve it. The key is to approach the situation with a proactive mindset rather than a passive one. Instead of saying, "This is unfair," ask, "What can I do to make this better?" Finally, remember that avoiding complaining is a skill that takes practice. It's natural to slip into negativity, especially when life feels overwhelming. But each time you catch yourself complaining, use it as an opportunity to pause and reframe. Over time, this practice will help you develop greater resilience and a more empowered approach to life's challenges. As we move forward, keep in mind that avoiding complaining is closely tied to the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. By taking responsibility for your thoughts and actions, you not only reduce stress but also create a life that's more aligned with your values and goals. This mindset sets the stage for the next lesson, being mindful of your reactions, where we'll explore how to manage emotions and respond to life's ups and downs with greater wisdom and calm. Now let's turn our attention to the 12th Stoic lesson, being mindful of your reactions. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is that it's not the events themselves that cause us suffering, but rather how we choose to respond to them. This idea, often attributed to the philosopher Epictetus, reminds us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we always have control over how we interpret and react to those events. This shift in perspective is incredibly empowering because it places the power to shape our experience firmly in our hands. Think about it this way: two people can face the exact same situation, yet one might feel overwhelmed and defeated while the other remains calm and focused. The difference lies in their reactions. The Stoics believed that by training ourselves to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively, we can reduce unnecessary suffering and navigate life's challenges with greater ease. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about acknowledging our feelings while choosing how to act on them in a way that aligns with our values and goals. A key strategy for managing emotional responses is the practice of pausing before reacting. When something upsetting happens, our instinct is often to react immediately, whether that's lashing out in anger, spiraling into worry, or shutting down in frustration. But Stoicism teaches us to create a moment of space between the event and our response. This pause allows us to step back, assess the situation objectively, and decide how we want to proceed. For example, if someone says something hurtful, instead of snapping back, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the most constructive way to handle this? This simple act of pausing can prevent unnecessary conflict and help us respond with clarity rather than emotion. Another powerful tool is reframing, which we touched on earlier. When faced with a difficult situation, try to see it from a different angle. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or how can this challenge help me grow? By shifting your perspective, you can transform what might initially feel like a setback into an opportunity for personal development. For instance, if you miss a deadline at work, instead of beating yourself up, use it as a chance to improve your time management skills or communicate more effectively with your team. It's also helpful to practice self-awareness by regularly reflecting on your emotional triggers. What situations or behaviors tend to upset you the most? By identifying these patterns, you can prepare yourself to respond more calmly in the future. For example, if you know that criticism tends to make you defensive, you can mentally rehearse how you'll handle it next time, focusing on listening and learning rather than reacting defensively. Finally, remember that managing your reactions is a skill that takes time and practice. It's natural to slip into old habits, especially when emotions run high. But each time you catch yourself reacting impulsively, use it as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Over time, you'll find that you're better able to respond to life's ups and downs with wisdom and composure. As we move forward, keep in mind that being mindful of your reactions is closely tied to the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. By mastering your responses, you not only reduce unnecessary stress, but also create a life that's more aligned with your values and goals. This mindset sets the stage for the next lesson, practicing self-discipline, where we'll explore how to build the habits and routines that support a Stoic way of life. Now let's shift our focus to the 13th Stoic lesson, practicing self-discipline. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the belief that self-control is not just a virtue but a cornerstone of a fulfilling life. The Stoics understood that without discipline, even the best intentions can falter. Self-discipline allows us to align our actions with our values, resist distractions, and stay committed to our long-term goals, even when faced with temptations or challenges. One of the most effective ways to cultivate self-discipline is by starting small. Begin with manageable tasks that require focus and consistency. For example, commit to waking up at the same time every day or dedicating a specific amount of time to a meaningful activity like reading or exercising. These small, consistent actions build momentum and strengthen your ability to stay disciplined in larger areas of life. The Stoics believed that by mastering the little things, we prepare ourselves to handle the bigger challenges with grace and determination. Another practical exercise is to set clear boundaries for yourself. Identify habits or behaviors that pull you away from your goals and create strategies to minimize their impact. If you find yourself spending too much time on social media, for instance, set a daily limit or designate specific times for checking your accounts. By establishing these boundaries, you take control of your time and energy, making it easier to stay focused on what truly matters. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of reflection in building self-discipline. At the end of each day, take a few moments to review your actions. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values today? Where did I succeed and where did I fall short? This practice not only reinforces your commitment to self-discipline, but also helps you identify areas for improvement. Over time, this daily reflection becomes a powerful tool for growth and self-awareness. Another key aspect of self-discipline is learning to delay gratification. The Stoics taught that true fulfillment comes from resisting immediate pleasures in favor of long-term rewards. For example, instead of indulging in an unhealthy snack, choose to nourish your body with something wholesome. Or, rather than spending money impulsively, save it for a meaningful goal. By practicing delayed gratification, you train your mind to prioritize what's truly important over fleeting desires. It's also helpful to surround yourself with reminders of your goals and values. The Stoics often used visual cues like quotes or symbols to keep their priorities top of mind. You might place a sticky note with a Stoic quote on your desk or set a daily reminder on your phone to reflect on your purpose. These small prompts can serve as powerful motivators, helping you stay disciplined even when distractions arise. Finally, remember that self-discipline is not about perfection. It's about progress. There will be days when you struggle to stay on track, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep trying, learning from your mistakes, and recommitting to your goals. The Stoics believed that every effort, no matter how small, contributes to the development of a stronger, more disciplined character. As we move forward, keep in mind that self-discipline is closely tied to the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. By mastering your actions and choices, you create a life that's not only more aligned with your values but also more resilient in the face of challenges. This mindset prepares us for the next lesson, seeking wisdom from others, where we'll explore how learning from mentors and historical figures can enrich our Stoic journey. Now let's turn our attention to the 14th Stoic lesson, seeking wisdom from others. The Stoics believed that no one is an island, and that true growth often comes from learning from those who have walked the path before us. Whether it's through mentors, historical figures, or even the people around us, seeking wisdom from others is a powerful way to deepen our understanding and refine our character. Take Seneca, for example. One of the most influential Stoic philosophers, Seneca often emphasized the importance of learning from others. He himself was deeply influenced by his mentor, Attalus, a Stoic teacher who guided him in his early years. Seneca credited Attalus with helping him develop a strong moral foundation and a disciplined approach to life. He wrote about how Attalus's teachings on simplicity and self-control shaped his own philosophy, showing us that even the greatest minds benefit from the guidance of others. But seeking wisdom doesn't always mean finding a formal mentor. The Stoics also valued learning from historical figures and their writings. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, frequently reflected on the lives and teachings of great leaders and thinkers who came before him. In his meditations, he often quoted philosophers like Epictetus and Socrates, drawing inspiration from their wisdom to navigate his own challenges as a Roman emperor. By studying their lives and ideas, Marcus Aurelius was able to apply their lessons to his own circumstances, demonstrating how the past can serve as a rich source of guidance. This practice isn't limited to ancient times. In our modern world, we have access to an incredible wealth of knowledge through books, podcasts, and even conversations with people who inspire us. The key is to approach these resources with an open mind and a willingness to learn. Ask yourself, what can I take from this person's experience? How can their insights help me grow? By actively seeking out wisdom, you create opportunities to expand your perspective and strengthen your Stoic practice. It's also worth noting that seeking wisdom from others doesn't mean blindly following their advice. The Stoics encouraged critical thinking and self-reflection. When you encounter a new idea or piece of advice, take the time to evaluate it in the context of your own values and goals. Ask yourself, does this align with what I believe? How can I adapt this to my own life? This thoughtful approach ensures that the wisdom you gather is not only meaningful but also practical. Finally, remember that seeking wisdom is a lifelong journey. Just as the Stoics continually sought to learn and grow, we too can embrace this mindset of curiosity and humility. Whether it's through a mentor, a book, or a simple conversation, every interaction is an opportunity to gain new insights and deepen your understanding of Stoic principles. As we move forward, consider how the wisdom of others can enrich your own Stoic journey. By learning from those who have come before us, we not only honor their legacy, but also equip ourselves with the tools to live a more fulfilling and virtuous life. This brings us to our next lesson, letting go of ego, where we'll explore how humility and self-awareness can transform our relationships and our sense of purpose. Now let's shift our focus to the 15th Stoic lesson, letting go of ego. Stoicism teaches us that ego, or an inflated sense of self-importance, can be one of the greatest obstacles to living a fulfilling and virtuous life. When we allow our ego to take control, we become more concerned with how others perceive us than with our own growth and character. This can lead to unnecessary stress, conflict, and a distorted sense of reality. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in humility, the ability to see ourselves clearly, acknowledge our flaws, and remain open to learning and growth. One of the most powerful examples of humility in Stoic philosophy comes from Marcus Aurelius. Despite being one of the most powerful men in the world as the Roman emperor, he constantly reminded himself of his own limitations and the fleeting nature of power. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reflection wasn't meant to instill fear, but to ground him in humility, reminding him that no matter his status, he was still a human being subject to the same universal truths as everyone else. By letting go of ego, Marcus Aurelius was able to lead with wisdom and compassion rather than arrogance or pride. So how can we cultivate humility in our own lives? The first step is to practice self-awareness. Take time each day to reflect on your actions, thoughts, and motivations. Ask yourself, am I acting out of ego, or am I genuinely striving to do what's right? This simple practice can help you identify moments when your ego might be clouding your judgment or leading you astray. Another practical step is to embrace feedback even when it's uncomfortable. The Stoics believed that criticism, when approached with an open mind, is a valuable tool for growth. Instead of becoming defensive or dismissive, try to see feedback as an opportunity to learn and improve. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? How can I use this to become a better version of myself? This mindset shift can help you let go of the need to always be right and instead focus on continuous self-improvement. In professional settings, humility can be especially transformative. When we let go of ego, we create space for collaboration and innovation. Instead of competing for recognition or credit, we can focus on contributing to the greater good. This doesn't mean downplaying your achievements. It means recognizing that success is often the result of collective effort. By valuing the contributions of others and remaining open to new ideas, you can foster a more positive and productive environment. Finally, remember that humility is not about thinking less of yourself, but about thinking of yourself less. It's about shifting your focus from self-centered concerns to the well-being of others and the world around you. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, which means aligning your actions with the greater good and recognizing your place in the larger web of life. As we move forward, consider how letting go of ego can transform not only your relationships but also your sense of purpose. By embracing humility, you create space for deeper connections, greater resilience, and a more meaningful life. This brings us to our next lesson, valuing time over possessions, where we'll explore how prioritizing what truly matters can lead to lasting fulfillment. Now, let's turn our attention to the 16th Stoic lesson, valuing time over possessions. The Stoics believed that time is the most precious resource we have, far more valuable than any material possession. Unlike money or objects, time is finite. Once it's gone, it can never be reclaimed. This realization is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, urging us to focus on how we spend our days rather than what we accumulate. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of time, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't meant to be morbid, but to serve as a powerful reminder to prioritize what truly matters. The Stoics understood that our time is limited, and how we choose to use it defines the quality of our lives. By valuing time over possessions, we shift our focus from external wealth to internal fulfillment. So, how can we apply this Stoic principle in our daily lives? Start by evaluating how you spend your time. Are you dedicating it to activities that align with your values and bring you closer to your goals? Or are you wasting it on distractions or pursuits that don't contribute to your growth? Take a moment each day to reflect on this question. This simple practice can help you become more intentional with your time. Another practical step is to declutter your schedule. Just as the Stoics advocated for simplicity in material possessions, they also encouraged simplicity in how we structure our days. Identify activities that drain your energy or don't add value, and consider eliminating or reducing them. This might mean saying no to commitments that don't align with your priorities or setting boundaries to protect your time. By doing so, you create space for what truly matters, whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying moments of stillness. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of being present. It's easy to get caught up in planning for the future or dwelling on the past, but the only moment we truly have is the present. Practice mindfulness by fully engaging in whatever you're doing, whether it's a conversation, a task, or even a moment of rest. This not only enhances your experience, but also helps you make the most of your time. In a world that often equates success with material wealth, the Stoic perspective offers a refreshing alternative. True wealth, they believed, lies in how we use our time to cultivate meaningful relationships, pursue personal growth, and contribute to the well-being of others. By valuing time over possessions, we align ourselves with what truly matters, leading to a more fulfilling and purposeful life. As we move forward, consider how this lesson can reshape your priorities. By focusing on time as your most valuable resource, you can create a life rich in experiences and connections rather than things. This brings us to our next lesson, practicing empathy and compassion, where we'll explore how understanding and kindness toward others can deepen our sense of fulfillment. Now, let's shift our focus to the 17th Stoic lesson, practicing empathy and compassion. While Stoicism is often associated with self-discipline and emotional resilience, it also places a strong emphasis on understanding and kindness toward others. The Stoics believed that we are all part of a shared human experience, and by cultivating empathy, we not only improve our relationships but also deepen our own sense of fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, frequently reflected on the importance of compassion. In his meditations, he wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that harming others ultimately harms ourselves, as we are all interconnected. Aurelius encouraged himself to approach others with patience and understanding, even when faced with difficult or frustrating behavior. By doing so, he demonstrated how empathy can transform our interactions and foster harmony. Another Stoic figure who exemplified compassion was Seneca. In his letters, he often advised his friends to extend kindness even to those who wronged them. Seneca believed that anger and resentment only poison the mind, while compassion and forgiveness free us from emotional burdens. He wrote, "We are born for mutual assistance, not for mutual destruction." This principle underscores the Stoic belief that our purpose is to support and uplift one another rather than to compete or harm. So, how can we practice empathy and compassion in our own lives? Start by actively listening to others. When someone shares their thoughts or struggles, give them your full attention without judgment. This simple act of presence can make a profound difference in how connected and understood they feel. Additionally, try to put yourself in others' shoes. When faced with conflict or misunderstanding, ask yourself, what might they be experiencing? What challenges are they facing? This shift in perspective can help you respond with greater patience and kindness. Another practical step is to practice forgiveness. Holding on to grudges or resentment only weighs you down, while letting go allows you to move forward with a lighter heart. Remember, as Seneca taught, forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, but about freeing yourself from the emotional toll of anger. By choosing compassion over resentment, you align yourself with the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with others. Finally, consider how small acts of kindness can ripple outward. Whether it's offering a helping hand, expressing gratitude, or simply smiling at a stranger, these gestures can create a sense of connection and goodwill. The Stoics believed that even the smallest acts of compassion contribute to the greater good, reinforcing the idea that we are all part of a larger community. As we reflect on this lesson, let's remember that empathy and compassion are not signs of weakness but strengths that enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. By practicing these virtues, we not only embody Stoic principles but also create a more meaningful and fulfilling existence. This brings us to our next lesson, avoiding overthinking, where we'll explore how simplifying our thoughts can lead to greater peace and clarity. Now, let's turn our attention to the 18th Stoic lesson, avoiding overthinking. In a world filled with endless distractions and constant mental noise, the Stoics offer a timeless solution, simplifying our thoughts and decluttering the mind. Overthinking not only drains our energy but also clouds our judgment, making it harder to focus on what truly matters. The Stoic approach teaches us to cut through the mental clutter and find clarity in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself to focus on the essentials. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This powerful insight highlights the Stoic belief that our thoughts are within our control. even when external circumstances are not. By recognizing this, we can begin to let go of unnecessary mental burdens and focus on what is truly important. One practical technique the Stoics use to avoid overthinking is the practice of journaling. Writing down your thoughts can help you organize them and identify patterns of overthinking. For example, if you find yourself repeatedly worrying about the same issue, jot it down and ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, how can I let it go? This simple exercise can help you gain perspective and reduce the mental noise that often accompanies overthinking. Another effective method is to practice mindfulness. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living in the present moment, as it is the only time we truly have control over. When you notice your mind wandering into endless loops of worry or speculation, gently bring your focus back to the present. Pay attention to your breath, the sensations in your body, or the task at hand. This practice not only reduces overthinking but also helps you cultivate a sense of calm and clarity. Seneca also offered valuable advice on this topic. He encouraged his readers to limit their exposure to unnecessary information and distractions. In one of his letters, he wrote, "The mind is troubled not by things but by the opinions about things." By being selective about what we allow into our minds, we can prevent the buildup of mental clutter. Consider setting boundaries around how much news, social media, or other external inputs you consume. This small change can have a significant impact on your mental clarity. Finally, the Stoics taught the importance of taking action. Overthinking often stems from a fear of making mistakes or facing uncertainty. However, as Epictetus pointed out, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. Instead of getting stuck in analysis paralysis, take small, deliberate steps toward your goals. Action not only breaks the cycle of overthinking but also builds confidence and momentum. As we reflect on this lesson, let's remember that simplifying our thoughts is not about ignoring problems or avoiding challenges. It's about focusing our mental energy on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. By adopting these Stoic practices, we can free ourselves from the trap of overthinking and move forward with greater clarity and purpose. This brings us to our next lesson, Embracing Simplicity, where we'll explore how living with less can lead to a more fulfilling life. Now, let's shift our focus to the 19th Stoic lesson, Embracing Simplicity. In a world that often glorifies busyness and excess, the Stoics remind us that true fulfillment comes from living a simple, uncluttered life. Simplicity, in Stoic philosophy, is not about deprivation but about freeing ourselves from distractions and focusing on what truly matters. By decluttering both our physical and mental spaces, we create room for clarity, peace, and purpose. The Stoics believed that simplicity allows us to align more closely with nature and our true selves. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of stripping away the unnecessary. He wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This idea encourages us to let go of the constant pursuit of more and instead find contentment in what we already have. To begin embracing simplicity in your physical space, start by decluttering your surroundings. Take a moment to assess your possessions and ask yourself, does this add value to my life? If the answer is no, consider letting it go. This process isn't about getting rid of everything, but about keeping only what serves a purpose or brings you joy. A clean, organized environment can have a profound impact on your mental clarity and overall well-being. Simplicity also extends to our mental spaces. Just as we declutter our homes, we can declutter our minds by letting go of unnecessary thoughts, worries, and distractions. One effective way to do this is by practicing the Stoic exercise of premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. By imagining the loss of things we often take for granted, we gain a deeper appreciation for what we have and reduce our attachment to material possessions. This practice helps us focus on what truly matters and frees us from the mental burden of constant desire. another practical step is to simplify your daily routines. The Stoics valued discipline and intentionality in their actions. Consider streamlining your schedule by prioritizing tasks that align with your values and goals. Eliminate activities that drain your energy or distract you from what's important. By doing so, you create more time and space for meaningful pursuits, whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply enjoying moments of stillness. Seneca, in his letters, often emphasized the importance of living within our means and avoiding the trap of materialism. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This powerful reminder encourages us to shift our focus from accumulating possessions to cultivating inner richness. By embracing simplicity, we learn to find joy in the present moment and appreciate the abundance that already exists in our lives. As we reflect on this lesson, let's remember that simplicity is not a one-time act but an ongoing practice. It requires us to continually evaluate our choices and let go of what no longer serves us. By embracing simplicity, we create a life that is not only more manageable but also more meaningful. This brings us to our next lesson, being patient with progress, where we'll explore the Stoic belief in gradual self-improvement and the power of persistence. Now let's turn our attention to the 20th Stoic lesson, being patient with progress. In a world that often demands instant results, Stoicism teaches us the value of gradual self-improvement. The Stoics understood that meaningful change doesn't happen overnight. Instead, it's the result of consistent effort, discipline, and a willingness to embrace the journey, no matter how slow it may seem. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of persistence. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful idea reminds us that obstacles are not setbacks but opportunities to grow stronger and more resilient. By accepting that progress takes time, we can approach our goals with patience and determination, rather than frustration or impatience. One practical strategy for staying committed to long-term goals is to break them down into smaller, manageable steps. Instead of focusing on the end result, concentrate on what you can do today to move closer to your objective. This approach not only makes the process less overwhelming, but also allows you to celebrate small victories along the way. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a testament to your progress and commitment. Another Stoic practice that supports patience is the habit of daily reflection. Take a few moments each day to review your actions and assess whether they align with your values and goals. This practice helps you stay focused on what truly matters and provides an opportunity to adjust your course if needed. By regularly reflecting on your progress, you cultivate a sense of purpose and direction, even when the path ahead seems long. It's also important to remember that setbacks are a natural part of any journey. The Stoics believed that challenges are not failures but opportunities to learn and grow. When faced with difficulties, remind yourself that these moments are shaping you into a stronger, more capable person. Embrace them as part of the process and let them fuel your determination rather than diminish your resolve. Seneca, in his writings, often emphasized the importance of perseverance. He advised, "It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop." This simple yet profound statement encourages us to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. By maintaining a steady pace and staying committed to our goals, we build the resilience and discipline needed to achieve lasting success. Finally, practice self-compassion. Recognize that growth is a journey, and it's okay to have moments of doubt or struggle. The Stoics believed in treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a friend. By being patient with ourselves, we create a supportive environment that fosters continuous improvement. As we reflect on this lesson, let's remember that progress is not about speed but about consistency. By embracing the Stoic belief in gradual self-improvement, we can approach our goals with patience, resilience, and a deep sense of purpose. This brings us to our next lesson, learning from criticism, where we'll explore how Stoicism teaches us to view feedback as an opportunity for growth. Now, let's shift our focus to the 21st Stoic lesson, learning from criticism. In a world where feedback can often feel personal or discouraging, Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective. The Stoics believed that criticism, when approached with the right mindset, can be one of the most powerful tools for self-improvement. Instead of seeing it as an attack, they encouraged us to view it as an opportunity to grow and refine our character. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things the wrong way, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, and the truth never harmed anyone." This statement highlights the Stoic commitment to truth and self-awareness. By embracing criticism, we open ourselves to new perspectives and insights that can help us become better versions of ourselves. One practical way to handle criticism constructively is to separate the feedback from the emotions it may trigger. When someone offers critique, take a moment to pause and reflect before reacting. Ask yourself, is there truth in what they're saying? How can I use this to improve? This approach allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than defensively, turning what could feel like a setback into a stepping stone for growth. Another Stoic practice is to consider the source of the criticism. Is it coming from someone who genuinely wants to help you improve, or is it rooted in negativity? If the feedback is constructive, take it to heart. If it's unhelpful or malicious, remind yourself that their words don't define your worth. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By focusing on your response, you maintain control over your growth and well-being. It's also helpful to cultivate a habit of self-reflection after receiving criticism. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I apply it moving forward? This practice not only helps you process the feedback, but also reinforces the Stoic belief in continuous self-improvement. By viewing criticism as a mirror rather than a hammer, you can uncover blind spots and areas for development that you might have otherwise overlooked. Seneca, in his letters, often emphasized the importance of humility in the face of criticism. He wrote, "The wise person is neither raised up by praise nor cast down by blame." This mindset reminds us to stay grounded regardless of how others perceive us. By detaching our self-worth from external opinions, we free ourselves to focus on what truly matters, our own growth and alignment with our values. Finally, remember that criticism is a natural part of life. No one is immune to it, and even the most accomplished individuals face judgment and feedback. The Stoics taught us to embrace this reality with grace and resilience. By learning from criticism, we not only improve ourselves but also develop the strength to navigate life's challenges with confidence and clarity. As we move forward, let's carry this lesson with us, viewing criticism not as a threat but as a gift. This brings us to our next Stoic principle, avoiding comparisons with others, where we'll explore how focusing on our own journey leads to greater fulfillment and peace. Now, let's turn our attention to the 22nd Stoic lesson, avoiding comparisons with others. In a world where social media and societal pressures constantly push us to measure our worth against others, Stoicism offers a powerful antidote. The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes from focusing on your own path, rather than getting caught up in the endless cycle of comparison. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The first step in avoiding comparisons is to recognize that everyone's journey is unique. What works for one person may not work for you, and that's perfectly okay. Instead of looking at others as benchmarks for success, focus on your own progress and growth. Ask yourself, am I becoming the best version of myself? This shift in perspective allows you to celebrate your achievements without feeling overshadowed by someone else's. Another practical strategy is to limit your exposure to triggers that fuel comparison. For many, this means being mindful of how much time you spend on social media or in environments where competition is emphasized. If you notice that certain platforms or people make you feel inadequate, consider stepping back or setting boundaries. Remember, as Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants. By simplifying your focus, you create space for contentment and self-acceptance. It's also helpful to practice gratitude for where you are in your journey. Take time each day to reflect on your strengths, accomplishments, and the progress you've made. This doesn't mean ignoring areas where you can improve, but rather acknowledging that growth is a process. As Seneca reminded us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. By appreciating what you have, you cultivate a sense of abundance that diminishes the need to compare. Another Stoic practice is to focus on your values and priorities. When you're clear about what truly matters to you, external comparisons lose their power. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my principles? Am I making choices that reflect my authentic self? This alignment brings a sense of purpose and fulfillment that no amount of external validation can match. Finally, remind yourself that everyone struggles, even those who seem to have it all. Behind every polished image or success story lies a journey filled with challenges and setbacks. By embracing this truth, you can approach life with compassion for yourself and others. As Marcus Aurelius put it, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By choosing to focus on your own growth rather than external comparisons, you create a foundation for lasting peace and fulfillment. With this lesson in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic principle, practicing silence and solitude, where we'll explore how quiet reflection can deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Now, let's explore the 23rd Stoic lesson, practicing silence and solitude. In a world that often feels noisy and overwhelming, the Stoics understood the profound value of stepping back and finding moments of quiet reflection. Silence and solitude are not about isolation, but about creating space to reconnect with yourself, your thoughts, and your values. As Seneca once wrote, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And sometimes, to truly live, we need to pause and listen to the voice within. The first step in embracing silence and solitude is to carve out intentional time for it in your daily routine. This doesn't mean you need to spend hours alone in a remote cabin, though that can be wonderful if you have the opportunity. Even a few minutes of quiet reflection each day can make a significant difference. Start by finding a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. It could be a corner of your home, a park bench, or even your car during a break. The key is to create a moment of stillness where you can tune out external distractions and tune into your inner world. One practical way to practice silence is through meditation or mindfulness. These practices help you focus on the present moment, letting go of the noise of the past or the worries of the future. You don't need any special equipment or training to begin. Simply sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. If your mind wanders, and it will gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Over time, this practice can help you cultivate a sense of calm and clarity that carries over into the rest of your day. Solitude, on the other hand, is about spending time alone with your thoughts. This could involve journaling, reflecting on your day, or simply sitting quietly and observing your surroundings. The Stoics believed that solitude was essential for self-examination and growth. Marcus Aurelius, for example, often retreated into solitude to reflect on his actions and align them with his values. You can do the same by asking yourself questions like, did I act with integrity today? What can I learn from my experiences? How can I improve tomorrow? Another way to incorporate solitude into your life is through nature. Spending time outdoors, away from the hustle and bustle of daily life, can be incredibly grounding. Whether it's a walk in the woods, a quiet moment by the ocean, or simply sitting under a tree, nature has a way of putting things into perspective. As Epictetus observed, no great thing is created suddenly. Growth and understanding often come in moments of stillness when we allow ourselves to simply be. It's also important to recognize that silence and solitude are not about escaping from the world but about recharging and gaining clarity. When you take time to reflect, you're better equipped to face challenges with a calm and focused mind. Think of it as sharpening your mental tools so you can approach life with greater intention and purpose. As Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. By quieting the noise in your mind, you can see things more clearly and respond to life's challenges with wisdom rather than reactivity. Finally, remember that practicing silence and solitude is a personal journey. What works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. The goal is to find what brings you peace and clarity, and to make it a regular part of your life. Whether it's through meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in stillness, these moments of quiet reflection can help you reconnect with your values, recharge your spirit, and navigate life with greater resilience and purpose. With this lesson in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic principle, being content with enough, where we'll explore how recognizing sufficiency can lead to lasting inner peace. Now, let's turn our attention to the 24th Stoic lesson, being content with enough. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more success, more possessions, more status, the Stoics offer a refreshing perspective. They teach us that true peace comes not from accumulating endless things, but from recognizing when we have enough. This idea, known as sufficiency, is about finding satisfaction in what we already possess and freeing ourselves from the endless chase for more. The Stoics believed that many of our struggles stem from an insatiable desire for more. Seneca, for instance, warned that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. In other words, poverty isn't about what you lack, but about the mindset of always wanting more. When we learn to be content with enough, we break free from this cycle of dissatisfaction and find a deeper sense of fulfillment. So, how can we practice this Stoic principle in our daily lives? The first step is to shift our focus from external possessions to internal values. Instead of measuring our worth by what we own, we can focus on cultivating virtues like gratitude, humility, and self-discipline. Ask yourself, what do I truly need to live a meaningful life? Often, you'll find that the answer is far simpler than you might expect. One practical way to embrace sufficiency is through mindful consumption. Before making a purchase or pursuing a goal, pause and reflect. Is this truly necessary, or am I chasing it out of habit or societal pressure? This simple act of reflection can help you distinguish between genuine needs and fleeting desires. Over time, you'll develop a clearer sense of what enough looks like for you. Another powerful tool is gratitude. Take time each day to reflect on what you already have. Whether it's your health, relationships, or even the small comforts of life, acknowledging these blessings can shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to appreciate the simple things, writing, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." By practicing gratitude, you train your mind to see the sufficiency in your life. It's also important to set boundaries around your desires. The Stoics weren't against enjoying life's pleasures, but they cautioned against becoming enslaved to them. Epictetus advised, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This means finding joy in simplicity and resisting the urge to constantly seek more. For example, instead of chasing the latest gadgets or trends, focus on experiences and relationships that bring lasting happiness. Finally, remember that being content with enough is a practice, not a destination. There will be times when you feel the pull of desire or the pressure to keep up with others. In those moments, remind yourself of the Stoic wisdom. True wealth lies in sufficiency. By embracing this mindset, you'll not only find inner peace, but also free yourself from the stress and anxiety that come with endless striving. With this lesson in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic principle, focusing on the big picture, where we'll explore how zooming out can help us navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and purpose. Now let's shift our focus to the 25th Stoic lesson, focusing on the big picture. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to get caught up in the small details, the immediate challenges, and the fleeting emotions that come our way. But the Stoics remind us to step back and see the broader perspective. By zooming out, we gain clarity, purpose, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the importance of seeing life from a wider lens. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This simple yet profound idea encourages us to focus not on the uncontrollable circumstances around us, but on how we choose to respond to them. When we view our struggles as part of a larger tapestry, they often lose their power to overwhelm us. So, how can we apply this Stoic practice in our own lives? One way is to regularly remind ourselves of the bigger picture. When faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often, the answer is no. This exercise helps us prioritize what's truly important and let go of unnecessary stress. For example, if you're stuck in traffic or dealing with a minor inconvenience, zooming out can help you see that these are small blips in the grand scheme of life. Another powerful technique is to reflect on the vastness of time and space. Marcus Aurelius often contemplated the universe, reminding himself of how small his problems were in comparison. He wrote, "Think of the universe as one living being with one substance and one soul." By adopting this perspective, we can cultivate a sense of humility and gratitude, recognizing that our lives are just one small part of a much larger whole. This mindset not only reduces anxiety, but also helps us appreciate the beauty and interconnectedness of existence. Focusing on the big picture also means aligning our actions with our long-term goals and values. Instead of getting distracted by short-term pleasures or setbacks, we can stay committed to what truly matters. For instance, if your goal is to build meaningful relationships, you might choose to invest time in connecting with loved ones rather than chasing superficial achievements. The Stoics believed that living in harmony with our values brings lasting fulfillment. It's also helpful to practice detachment from outcomes. While it's natural to want things to go a certain way, the Stoics remind us that we can't control everything. Instead of fixating on specific results, focus on the effort you put in and the lessons you learn along the way. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, challenges are opportunities to grow and adapt, not roadblocks to our happiness. Finally, remember that focusing on the big picture is a skill that requires practice. It's easy to get pulled back into the details of daily life, but with consistent effort, you can train your mind to see the broader perspective. Start by setting aside a few minutes each day to reflect on your place in the world and the values that guide you. Over time, this practice will help you navigate life's ups and downs with greater wisdom and resilience. With this lesson in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic principle, avoiding anger and resentment, where we'll explore how managing our emotions can lead to greater peace and clarity. Now let's turn our attention to the 26th Stoic lesson, avoiding anger and resentment. Anger, as the Stoics understood, is a destructive emotion that clouds our judgment and disrupts our peace. It's a natural human response, but one that can be managed and even transformed with the right mindset. The Stoics believed that anger often stems from unmet expectations or a sense of injustice, but they also taught that we have the power to choose how we respond to these feelings. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, wrote extensively about anger. He called it a brief madness and warned that it does more harm to the person who feels it than to anyone else. The Stoic approach to anger isn't about suppressing it, but about understanding its roots and choosing not to let it control us. When we feel anger rising, the first step is to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this situation within my control? And if not, is my anger serving any purpose? Often, the answer is no. By recognizing this, we can begin to let go of the emotion before it takes hold. One practical technique for managing anger is to practice perspective taking. When someone wrongs us, it's easy to assume the worst about their intentions. But the Stoics encourage us to consider alternative explanations. Perhaps the person acted out of ignorance, stress, or their own struggles. By shifting our perspective, we can replace anger with empathy, which not only diffuses the emotion but also strengthens our relationships. Another powerful Stoic tool is the practice of premeditation. This involves anticipating situations that might provoke anger and mentally preparing for them. For example, if you know a particular person or situation tends to frustrate you, imagine how you'll respond calmly and rationally when it arises. By rehearsing this response in your mind, you're more likely to act with composure when the moment comes. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. By expecting these behaviors, he was better equipped to handle them without anger. Letting go of resentment is equally important. Holding onto grudges weighs us down and prevents us from moving forward. The Stoics believed that forgiveness is not about excusing someone's actions, but about freeing ourselves from the burden of bitterness. As Epictetus put it, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. When we forgive, we reclaim our power and choose peace over pain. To cultivate calmness, the Stoics also emphasized the importance of self-awareness. Pay attention to the physical and emotional signs that anger is building tightness in your chest, a racing heart, or a clenched jaw. When you notice these signals, take a deep breath and remind yourself of your values. Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? This simple question can help you align your actions with your principles rather than your impulses. Finally, remember that managing anger and resentment is a practice, not a one-time fix. It requires patience, self-reflection, and a commitment to growth. Start small by identifying one situation where you tend to feel anger and experiment with these techniques. Over time, you'll find that you can respond to life's challenges with greater calm and clarity. With this lesson in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic principle, being adaptable to change, where we'll explore how embracing life's unpredictability can lead to greater resilience and peace. Now let's shift our focus to the 27th Stoic lesson, being adaptable to change. Life, as the Stoics understood, is inherently unpredictable. No matter how much we plan or prepare, unexpected events will arise, some bringing joy, others bringing challenges. The Stoic philosophy teaches us not to resist these changes, but to embrace them as opportunities for growth and resilience. By learning to adapt, we can navigate life's uncertainties with grace and strength. The Stoics believed that change is not only inevitable, but also necessary for personal development. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the impermanence of life, reminding himself that everything is in a constant state of flux. He wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." This perspective encourages us to see change not as a threat but as a natural part of existence. When we accept this truth, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. One key strategy for embracing change is to cultivate a mindset of flexibility. Instead of clinging to rigid expectations, the Stoics advise us to remain open to new possibilities. This doesn't mean abandoning our goals or values, but rather being willing to adjust our approach when circumstances shift. For example, if a project at work takes an unexpected turn, instead of resisting, ask yourself, how can I adapt to this new situation and still move forward? By focusing on solutions rather than obstacles, we can turn challenges into opportunities. Another powerful Stoic practice is to prepare mentally for change. This involves anticipating potential disruptions and visualizing how you'll respond. The Stoics called this premeditation of adversity, and it's a way to build emotional resilience. Imagine losing a job, facing a health issue, or experiencing a personal setback. While these scenarios may seem daunting, mentally rehearsing your response can help you stay calm and composed when they occur. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult. By preparing for adversity, we reduce its power to overwhelm us. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of focusing on what we can control. When change occurs, it's easy to feel powerless, but we always have control over our thoughts, attitudes, and actions. Instead of lamenting what's been lost or altered, ask yourself, what can I do right now to make the best of this situation? This shift in focus empowers us to take constructive steps even in the face of uncertainty. Finally, the Stoics remind us to find meaning in change. Every challenge, no matter how difficult, offers an opportunity to learn, grow, and strengthen our character. As Epictetus put it, difficulties are things that show what men are. By viewing change as a teacher rather than an adversary, we can transform even the most trying experiences into sources of wisdom and resilience. With these strategies in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic lesson, practicing generosity, where we'll explore how giving to others can enrich our own lives and deepen our sense of purpose. Now, let's turn our attention to the 28th Stoic lesson, practicing generosity. The Stoics believed that giving to others is not just an act of kindness, but a fundamental part of living a virtuous and fulfilling life. Generosity, in their view, is a way to connect with others, cultivate gratitude, and deepen our sense of purpose. By helping those around us, we not only improve their lives but also enrich our own. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, was a strong advocate for generosity. He saw it as a natural expression of our shared humanity. In his writings, Seneca often emphasized that true wealth lies not in what we possess but in what we give. He believed that hoarding resources or focusing solely on personal gain leads to a hollow existence. Instead, he encouraged people to share their time, knowledge, and resources freely. For Seneca, generosity was a way to practice justice and temperance, two of the core Stoic virtues. A powerful example of Seneca's generosity can be found in his relationship with his friend Lucilius. Seneca frequently offered Lucilius advice, support, and encouragement through his letters, which later became the famous Letters to Lucilius. These letters were not just philosophical teachings but acts of generosity, as Seneca shared his wisdom to help Lucilius navigate life's challenges. Through this, Seneca demonstrated that generosity isn't always about material gifts. It can also be about offering guidance, empathy, and understanding. The Stoics also remind us that generosity doesn't require grand gestures. Even small acts of kindness can have a profound impact. For instance, Marcus Aurelius, despite being a Roman emperor, practiced humility and generosity in his daily life. He often reflected on the importance of serving others, writing in his meditations, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This metaphor highlights the interconnectedness of all people and the idea that helping others ultimately benefits everyone, including ourselves. Practicing generosity also helps us cultivate gratitude. When we give to others, we become more aware of what we have and less focused on what we lack. This shift in perspective aligns with the Stoic principle of valuing what truly matters. By sharing our resources or time, we reinforce the idea that our worth is not tied to material possessions but to the positive impact we have on the world. To incorporate generosity into your own life, start by looking for opportunities to give, no matter how small. It could be as simple as offering a listening ear to a friend, volunteering in your community, or donating to a cause you care about. The key is to give without expecting anything in return. As the Stoics teach, true generosity comes from a place of sincerity and selflessness. By embracing this lesson, we not only contribute to the well-being of others, but also strengthen our own character and sense of fulfillment. With this in mind, let's move forward to the next Stoic lesson, Reflecting Daily, where we'll explore how the practice of journaling and self-reflection can help us live more intentionally and authentically. Now, let's shift our focus to the 29th Stoic lesson, Reflecting Daily. The Stoics placed immense value on the practice of daily reflection and journaling as a way to cultivate self-awareness, track personal growth, and live more intentionally. For them, journaling wasn't just a record of events but a tool for examining their thoughts, actions, and emotions. By taking time each day to reflect, they believed we could better align our lives with Stoic principles and make more deliberate choices. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, is a prime example of this practice. His personal writings, later compiled as Meditations, were never intended for publication. Instead, they were his private reflections, a way to remind himself of Stoic teachings and hold himself accountable. Through his journaling, Marcus Aurelius explored his struggles, celebrated his progress, and reinforced his commitment to living virtuously. His meditations serve as a powerful reminder that daily reflection is a deeply personal and transformative practice. To begin your own Stoic journaling practice, start by setting aside a few quiet moments each day. The key is consistency, whether it's in the morning to set your intentions for the day or in the evening to reflect on what has transpired. Here's a simple step-by-step guide to help you get started. First, find a quiet space where you can write without distractions. This could be a dedicated journaling corner in your home or even a peaceful spot outdoors. Next, begin by asking yourself a few guiding questions. For example, what did I do well today? Or where did I fall short of my values? These questions help you evaluate your actions and identify areas for improvement. Then reflect on your emotions. Ask yourself, what triggered my strongest emotions today, and how did I respond to them? This step encourages you to examine your reactions and consider whether they align with Stoic principles like calmness and rationality. By understanding your emotional triggers, you can work toward responding more thoughtfully in the future. After that, consider your interactions with others. Ask, how did I treat the people around me today? And did I act with kindness, fairness, and empathy? This reflection helps you cultivate the Stoic virtues of justice and compassion, ensuring that your actions contribute positively to your relationships. Finally, end your journaling session by setting an intention for the next day. This could be a specific goal, such as practicing patience or showing gratitude, or a broader commitment, like staying focused on what you can control. Writing down your intentions helps you stay mindful and purposeful as you move forward. The beauty of Stoic journaling lies in its simplicity. You don't need elaborate tools or lengthy entries, just a notebook and a few minutes of honest reflection. Over time, this practice can help you develop greater self-awareness, strengthen your character, and live more in alignment with Stoic values. As we wrap up this lesson, remember that daily reflection is not about perfection but progress. It's a way to pause, learn, and grow one day at a time. With this in mind, let's move forward to the final Stoic lesson, Living According to Nature, where we'll explore how aligning with the natural order of life can bring harmony and fulfillment. Now, as we step into the final Stoic lesson, we arrive at the heart of Stoic philosophy, living according to nature. This principle is not about retreating to the wilderness or abandoning modern life, but rather about aligning ourselves with the natural order of the world and our own true nature. The Stoics believed that living in harmony with nature is the key to a fulfilling and virtuous life. It's about understanding our place in the universe, embracing our roles, and acting in ways that are authentic to who we are. At its core, living according to nature means recognizing that we are part of a larger, interconnected system. Just as a tree grows toward the sun or a river flows toward the sea, we too have a natural path to follow. For the Stoics, this path is guided by reason, virtue, and a deep respect for the world around us. When we live in alignment with these principles, we find balance, purpose, and inner peace. So, how can we apply this idea in our daily lives? Start by reflecting on your own nature. What are your strengths, values, and passions? What roles do you play in your family, community, or workplace? The Stoics believed that fulfilling these roles with integrity is essential to living authentically. For example, if you're a parent, your nature might call you to nurture and guide your children. If you're a teacher, it might be to inspire and educate. By embracing these roles wholeheartedly, you align yourself with your true purpose. Next, consider the natural world around you. The Stoics often drew inspiration from observing nature's rhythms, the changing seasons, the cycles of growth and decay, and the interconnectedness of all living things. Take time to connect with nature, whether it's through a walk in the park, tending to a garden, or simply watching the sunrise. These moments can remind us of the beauty and simplicity of life, helping us let go of unnecessary distractions and focus on what truly matters. Another practical way to live according to nature is to practice acceptance. Just as nature adapts to change, whether it's a storm reshaping the landscape or a seed sprouting in unexpected soil, we too must learn to accept the things we cannot control. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive, but rather approaching life's challenges with resilience and adaptability. By accepting what is, we free ourselves from resistance and open the door to growth. Finally, strive to live virtuously. The Stoics taught that virtue embodied in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is the highest good. When we act with these virtues, we align ourselves with the natural order and live in harmony with our true selves. For instance, practicing wisdom means making thoughtful decisions, while courage allows us to face difficulties with strength. Justice calls us to treat others fairly, and temperance helps us find balance in our desires and actions. Living according to nature is not a one-time achievement but an ongoing practice. It requires mindfulness, self-reflection, and a commitment to growth. As you integrate this principle into your life, you'll find that it brings a sense of clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. You'll begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow, relationships as chances to connect, and each day as a gift to be lived fully. With this, we conclude our journey through the 30 Stoic lessons for a fulfilling life. Each lesson, from focusing on what you can control to living according to nature, offers timeless wisdom that can transform how you navigate the complexities of modern life. Remember, Stoicism is not about perfection but progress. It's about taking small, deliberate steps toward becoming the best version of yourself. So, take these lessons to heart, apply them in your daily life, and watch as they help you cultivate resilience, peace, and fulfillment. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights on living a meaningful life. Until next time, stay stoic. As we bring this exploration of the 30 Stoic lessons to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound wisdom they offer. Each lesson, from focusing on what you can control to living in harmony with nature, serves as a guiding light in navigating life's challenges and opportunities. Together, these principles form a powerful framework for cultivating resilience, inner peace, and fulfillment. They remind us that life's true richness lies not in external achievements, but in how we choose to respond to the world around us. The beauty of Stoicism is that it's not about achieving perfection, but about making progress. It's about taking small, intentional steps every day to align your actions with your values and live authentically. Whether it's practicing gratitude, embracing obstacles as opportunities, or reflecting on your mortality, each lesson invites you to deepen your understanding of yourself and the world. By integrating these teachings into your life, you'll find yourself better equipped to handle adversity, appreciate the present moment, and build meaningful connections with others. Now it's your turn to take these lessons and make them your own. Start by choosing one or two principles that resonate with you and apply them in your daily life. Notice how they shift your perspective and help you approach challenges with greater clarity and calm. Over time, you'll see how these practices can transform not just your mindset but your entire way of being. We'd love to hear about your journey with Stoicism. Share your experiences, insights, or questions in the comments below. Let's create a community where we can learn from and support one another. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more Stoic wisdom and practical guidance. Thank you for joining us on this journey toward a more fulfilling life. Until next time, stay Stoic.